Warning, this video is intended for mature audiences only. Your discretion is advised. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me here today. For those of you joining me for the very first time today, allow me to introduce myself. My name is KathyyRenee, and I'm doing a little thing called Morbid Storytime and Makeup, where I talk about a crime story and put my makeup on at the same time. And I know this is a concept some other people do, but you're on my channel for a reason, and I know you like that tea. But anyways, I'm gonna get right to the point. We're gonna get started. So you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you guys, and let's get to the point. But first, even though we look like this, we're still looking really cute. The story begins on September the 11th of 1995. A nine-year-old Samuel James Ryce, also known as Jimmy Ryce, disappeared after having been dropped off from his school bus near his home in the south area of Miami-Dade County, also known as the Redlands, and how we call it right now, Homestead. There was a search that followed. However, no one was able to locate the missing child. There's not a lot of information on Jimmy Ryce, but only on the fact that he was born on September the 26th of 1985, which makes him a Libra. Jimmy likes to play basketball, baseball, and play the piano. Family members stated that he loved to read and was aspired to become a major league baseball player. Now we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about Juan Carlos Chavez. I don't know if I'm Chavez. I don't know. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about him. There's not a lot of information on him other than the fact that he was born on March the 16th of 1967, which makes him a Pisces. Again, me naming the zodiac does not mean anything. I'm just throwing that fact out there. I'm into astrology. If you're not into it, I don't care. He was born into poverty in Cuba. He was born during a botched abortion. It is said that as a young man, he was abandoned, made to fight other children, and also made to prostitute himself. Juan Carlos Chavez described how either a brother or a close friend had been put in a place where people take sexual advantage of children. And there's no exact timeline of when Juan Carlos Chavez, or we're just gonna call him Juan Carlos. No offense to other Juan Carloses out there. So there's no timeline of exactly when Juan Carlos came to Miami, Florida in the United States. There's no information on that, and there's not a lot. He met a family, the Shine House family. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'm gonna go ahead and list it below. He met the Shine House family. It's not exactly known or said when he met them, but he met them, and he was living in their trailer on their property. He was working as a handyman for the Shine House family, and he was given permission to use their Ford pickup truck to do their errands and other handiwork for the family. And in addition to his duties, Juan Carlos cared for the horses on the Shine House residence. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the crease, so I'll be right back. It's not really specific, but around August or September of 1995, Susan Shinehouse reported to the police numerous times that items were missing from her residence. The missing items included jewelry, and a handgun. Mrs. Shinehouse had her suspicions that it was Juan Carlos, but she didn't have the evidence to prove it. Shinehouse later went on to testify that she went to a locksmith to help her open her trailer on her property that Juan Carlos was living in. And on December the 6th of 1995, Susan Shinehouse and Edward Shinehouse waited for Juan Carlos to be away for the day. They both went into the trailer that is on their property As they entered the trailer, Susan Shinehouse found her own handgun, which was in plain view. Susan Shinehouse continued to look around the trailer, and she had discovered around the closet area a backpack that was partially open. She looked inside of the backpack and she had noticed that there were papers and books. And as she was looking inside of the papers had a child's handwriting on it. And she had noticed the name Jimmy Ryce on the papers. She had asked Everett Shinehouse to look at the items, and he also had recognized the name Jimmy Ryce. Susan Shinehouse immediately contacted the FBI. I'm guessing later on that evening, Juan Carlos returned to the residence, and as he returned later that evening on December the 6th of 1995, FBI agents surrounded him and secured him. Juan Carlos was detained, and as he was detained, he was questioned, and he was telling several inconsistent stories about his involvement with Jimmy Ryce's disappearance. I'm sorry. And then after the evidence, it discredits the versions of the stories that he was trying to say. And just my opinion here, like, if the evidence points to you, just freaking admit it. Like, there's no reason for you to hide. There's no reason for you... Look, if everything is pointing to you, just freaking admit to it. Like, there's, you know, it's like that saying, like, the truth will set you free. Like, you already messed up. So just say the truth so that everybody can go home. One of the inconsistent stories that he tried to say was that he accidentally crushed Jimmy against the horse farm gate, and after failing to attempt his version of events, he agreed to tell the truth. Juan Carlos agreed to tell the truth with one condition, and that condition was as if he received the death penalty. And he wanted the officers to guarantee him that. And the officers had advised Juan Carlos that they could not guarantee that the death penalty would be executed. So the officers and Juan Carlos continued to talk, and Juan Carlos stated that these events would not have happened if he hadn't been sexually battered by a relative in Cuba. And look, this is where my opinion comes in. Like, you know, maybe he got sexually abused. Maybe he did not get sexually abused. I don't know. But if he did, I feel really bad. But at the end of the day, just because something traumatic happened to you as a child does not mean you get the right to repeat it, you know? And I feel bad for what happened, because unfortunately when it's like sexual abuse as a minor, these kids are convinced that they had it coming, they deserved it, or it's okay. And it's not okay to freaking... Look, pedophilia is not okay in any way, shape, or form, okay? That's freaking disgusting. That's horrible. And I'm sorry, like, no, you don't do that. Just because it happened to you as a child, and I'm sorry that it happened to you as a child, you don't do that. You don't repeat those fucking acts. It's disgusting. It's immoral, and no. Moving on. So the officers told Juan Carlos that they felt that it was time for him to be truthful and to tell, you know, what really happened with Jimmy Ryce. And they began to ask about Jimmy and where Jimmy was located. And Juan Carlos stated that he was observing young children playing in the water on his way home from errands at approximately 3 p.m. He was sitting in the work truck that was provided by the Shinehouse family, and Juan Carlos stated that he was just watching the boys wearing just their underwear, and he quote-unquote took an interest in them, and after observing the children, he drove off, and he wanted to make a return after a short while because he still had mental pictures of the young boys in their underwear, and he wanted to go take another look. Fucking sick bastard. And on his way back, he saw one of the boys that he saw, and that boy later turns out to be Jimmy Ryce. Chavez says that he begins to feel something very sexual, and then as Chavez is driving the pickup truck, he stops in front of Jimmy, causing Jimmy to stop walking, and he gets out of the vehicle with the .38 caliber, which is the gun that's owned by the Shinehouse family. And then Chavez tells Jimmy at gunpoint, "Do you want to die?" And then poor Jimmy responds no, and he gets in the truck at gunpoint. And then once Jimmy's inside the truck, Chavez tells Jimmy to remove his backpack, place it between his legs, and to place his head down. He tells him to place his head down so that way he doesn't get seen by anyone. Chavez is still holding the gun to Jimmy this whole time. Chavez is driving back to the trailer on the Shinehouse property, and both of them go inside of the trailer. Chavez asks Jimmy to sit on the bed. Jimmy sits on the bed. Chavez just like sits on like an office chair that he has, and he notices that Jimmy is scared and nervous, and that he begins to cry. And as all of this is going on, Jimmy is asking, "Why did you take me?" And I'm pretty sure like other questions. I mean, the poor kid was scared. I mean, he got abducted. His mind is racing, and he just doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on, poor thing. And so Chavez explains to Jimmy that he wants Jimmy to answer his own questions. That's how you know how sick you are. Like, he was getting a kick out of it. I'm sorry. Like, that's just wrong. You know, somebody's scared, and then I don't know. He was getting a kick out of it. Fucking sick bastard, man. And then Chavez tells Jimmy that he's gonna do something sexual to him. And from this part, this is a trigger warning. You may end the video, skip this part, and I'll let you know when this part ends. And if you want more details about it, I don't think anybody wants details about it, but I'm still gonna I'm gonna link the case down below, because it is part of the case. They do ask Juan Carlos about it, but again, it's up to you guys. This is the last warning. This is a trigger warning. So Juan Carlos tells Jimmy to remove his clothing and to lay on the bed at this tummy. Jimmy asks Chavez what he's doing. Chavez says, "What you think is going to happen?" And that's really wrong. I'm sorry. Like, a child his age doesn't know what's going on. Okay, and that's, first of all, you don't do that. It's disgusting. But anyways, he, as you guys know, he begins to, I think as you guys put two and two together, he begins to sexually abuse Jimmy. And he had the nerve to say that he quickly ejaculated inside of him. And after that horrible event, they both got dressed and they went to the truck, and Chavez told Jimmy to remain hidden. And then Chavez drives with Jimmy near the place where he abducted Jimmy. Okay, so this, I don't know where to talk about this, but I didn't know when or where to insert it. It is also stated that Jimmy had like a routine. So the routine was to go home and call one of his parents that he made it home. That was part of the routine. And I don't know if he did that routine or not. So I just want to let you guys know that I didn't know when to insert it, but that was the routine that he was supposed to have made. So Juan Carlos, or Chavez, was going to drop Jimmy off of the area where he got abducted, and so Chavez noticed that there were cop cars surrounding the area. Chavez then heads back to the ranch, and once they're inside of the trailer, Jimmy begins to cry. Chavez says that he tried to calm Jimmy down, and at this time there was a helicopter flying over the ranch. And Chavez was trying to have Jimmy near him the whole time so that way he doesn't get caught. And then at one point, Chavez looks outside of the trailer to see where the helicopter is around this time. And then Jimmy is near the entrance of the trailer and tries to make an escape. And then throughout this whole time though, Chavez had the .38 caliber. And he, as Jimmy is trying to make his escape, he shoots Jimmy in the back for one time, and that one shot was the fatal blow. And after Chavez shot Jimmy, he states that he held Jimmy in his arms and Jimmy took one last breath. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my liner and I'll be right back. Chavez later describes how he disposed of Jimmy's body. He found a metal barrel inside of the horse farm and he had placed the body in there. Chavez later took the barrel and placed it into a van. Chavez took Jimmy's backpack, which was in the pickup truck, and placed it in the trailer. And later that night, Chavez noticed that there was blood on his own clothing and he had destroyed the clothing. And during the night and all of next morning, all Chavez would think about was that what he was going to do with the body. And approximately 2 to 3 days later, he attempted to use the backhoe that was on the Steinhaus property to dig a hole in order to bury Jimmy's body. However, the machine wasn't working very properly, and Chavez was freaking out and he was very concerned. And he had noticed the lid of the barrel that had Jimmy's body had come off. Chavez pulled Jimmy's body from the barrel and he had began to dismember him. And Chavez explained that it took him a while to dismember the body as he was becoming sick and vomiting. And I'm sorry, doesn't touching kids, doesn't anything involving sexual with kids, doesn't that disgust you? Because that disgusts me. Like, just the thought of it pisses me off. Like, that didn't disgust you, but you dismembering a body did. You're fucking sick. Chavez then completes the dismembering of the body and places 3 of Jimmy's body parts into 3 planters. He then takes the planters, takes them to a stable area. He later gets cement bags, and with those cement bags he seals the tops of the planters. On December the 8th of 1995, crime technician L.V. Melgarejo, I don't know, I'm not really good at these pronunciations, even though I'm Hispanic. I'm not good at the pronunciation, so please don't judge me. Anyways, he or she later testified that they helped search the trailer that was on the Steinhaus property, and they had noticed 3 concrete filled planters and became suspicious that it may have contained a cadaver. And fingerprint technician William Millard identified that the fingerprints left on the .38 caliber were fingerprints that had matched Juan Carlos, also known as Chavez, like we're calling him right now. And then later they had examined those fingerprints, and there were also fingerprints that were left on, the books and the notebooks that were found inside of Jimmy's backpack. And I think it's like, bro, I don't know. Why did he have to touch his things? Like, it's disgusting. Like, he was keeping it as trophies. Like, you touch them? This, like, dude, you already did enough damage. Why are you gonna freaking touch it? Why are you gonna go through the boy stuff? Disgusting, man. I'm not a big fan of him, as you guys noticed. The medical chief examiner, Dr. Roger Middleman, explained or examined the contents of the 3 planters. And each cement of the planter had encased the remains of what appeared to be a little boy. Dr. Middleman testified that the body expands as it decomposes, and the decomposition causes the body to expand. And if a body was placed inside of a closed barrel, the expansion of the decomposed body will force the lid to be open. And Jimmy's remains were significantly decomposed, and they were able to use the dental records from Jimmy's family to identify Jimmy. And the x-ray of the body cavity revealed a flattened projectile in the area of the heart and the vessels, and the bullet entered the 6th rib and went upward through the lung and the heart and exited through the upper left chest. And I feel so bad that he freaking passed away, but I mean, not that I just, when it happened, you know, I just hope that it was quick and painless. That's all I hope for, man, because he didn't deserve that, you know. Oh, whatever. He didn't deserve that at all. On December the 20th of 1995, Detective Mick Coleman had transported a tool also known as the bush hook that had been impounded, and Dr. Middleman was asked to examine the hook and determine if the cutting characteristics were consistent with the injuries that were left on Jimmy's body. And Dr. Middleman confirmed that the hook was used to dismember the body. And Juan Carlos was charged for the first-degree murder and sexual assault of a minor under 12 years old and kidnapping with a weapon. He was found guilty for all 3 counts, and he was sentenced to life in prison for the sexual assault of a minor under 12 years old and kidnapping with a weapon. He was sentenced to death for the first-degree murder of Jimmy Ryce. Chavez was executed on February the 12th of 2014 by lethal injection in the state of Florida. And his final meal was steak, french fries, strawberry ice cream with mixed fruit and mango juice. In a handwritten statement, he stated that his faith brought him peace and his sins can't be judged by other people. And it is also said that his, oh, my hair. It is also said that on his final day alive, he was with a Catholic spiritual advisor, and he said, quote unquote, "I beg my Lord the Christ in these last minutes of this world." Like, you fucking touch kids, okay? You're disgusting. Like, I'm sorry, you don't even, why do we get these fucking pedophiles like last, you know, words or last meals? Can we please change that? Like, it's disgusting. It's so fucking disrespectful. He also wrote that his unfailing love upon us, upon me, upon those who take the life out of this body, as well as those who in their blindness or in their pain desire my death. Yeah, you know what? He thinks he's Shakespeare. He thinks he's Shakespeare. Like, who let him write that? Somebody let him be Shakespeare. And the Jimmy Ryce Act was passed unanimously by the Florida legislature and was signed by the Governor Lawton Childs on May the 19th of 1998, becoming effective on January the 1st of 1999. The Ryce Act calls for the involuntary commitment of violent sex offenders who have a personality disorder or a mental abnormality that makes them more prone to engaging in future acts of sex-related violence. I'm not really sure how that's working out because this shit's still going on to this day. It's 2023. And there's not really a set date, but in the year of 1996, the Jimmy Ryce Center was founded, and it was to raise awareness about missing children, victims' rights, and violence. The center has donated more than 600 bloodhounds to law enforcement agencies to help find missing children and adults. And Jimmy Ryce's parents, Dawn and Claudine Ryce, strongly feel that their son would have been found sooner if a bloodhound was used, because bloodhounds are well known to have a very good sense of smell because of their 300 million scent receptors. And it is said that Claudine Ryce died of a heart attack on January the 21st of 2009 at the age of 66, while her husband Don Ryce was giving a statement. And this is just a speculation of mine, like maybe you know, when he was giving the speech, a lot of emotions came up, a lot of emotions were brought up, so maybe that's what triggered it. Poor thing. It's like they never got like their closure. Like in a way they kind of got their closure, but poor thing, it just really sucks, man. And a year after, Claudine was inducted into the Florida Women's Hall of Fame in 2010. And Jimmy Ryce's sister, Martha Ryce, committed suicide on December 30th of 2012. And then Jimmy's father, Don Ryce, he passed away at the age of 76 due to natural causes. There's not an exact date of when he passed away, but it was in the year of 2020. And the only family member that's still alive is Jimmy Ryce's brother, Ted Ryce. He's still alive, and there's not a lot of information on him, but I'm pretty sure he's keeping a quiet life. So that's the story. I'm gonna go ahead and finish everything, and we're gonna come back and talk about it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, or however you identify yourselves as, is the morbid story of Jimmy Ryce. It's a very sad story. I feel really bad for him and his family, what he had to go through as a little boy, you know, but I'm glad that pedophile's dead. I mean, yeah, kind of messed up, but I really don't care. I mean, whatever, it's what it is. At the end of the day, it's my opinion. If you agree with me, awesome. If you don't agree with me, go to hell. But I still remember that story happening when I was a child. I remember, like, in school they would tell you, like, not to speak to strangers, stranger danger, all that other stuff. You know, don't talk to strangers, things like that. And I forgot what happened one time, but my mom, when I was little, my mom would tell me, oh, you know, don't talk to strangers, because look at what happened to Jimmy Ryce. And I always grew up with that, you know, because she told me the nice story of it. She told me, yeah, you know, like a guy stole him and killed him. But as I got older, I found out the real story as to what happened to Jimmy Ryce, and my heart goes out to his soul and so, like, his family. And, you know, it's just really sad. And you gotta, like, you know, and you gotta watch out for your kids, man. And if your kids have a certain routine, freaking stick to it, man, because you never freaking know, man. And you gotta be cautious and aware of people. You never really know. But anyways, I mean, I'm not gonna say I hope you guys enjoyed the story, but thank you guys so much for making it this far to the end. I just hope this brings awareness, you know, and just protect anybody, protect everybody, and if you see something, freaking say something, you know. But anyways, yeah, that's the story. Stay morbid.